Hi, my name is Damien, and today I'll examine two systemic barriers that reduce physical activity among Australian children and adolescents. Those barriers being limited community sport infrastructure, for example, lack of goals, courts, and maintained play spaces, and insufficient daily physical inactivity within schools. Physical inactivity is a national problem for Australia. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare (AHIW) reports that a substantial proportion of children and adolescents do not meet recommended activity levels. Recent AIHW analysis also highlights disparities by age and socio-economic status. Ausplay and Sport Australia data show that while many children participate in organised sport, overall weekly physical activity for some age groups, particularly adolescents, has not improved and patterns of informal play are changing. These national sources indicate that the issue is structural rather than individual. Issue 1 covers a major systemic barrier, which is limited access to functional, free, and safe community sport infrastructure, which supports unstructured play and active recreation. According to Christian et al. 2021 and AIHW 2024, built environment evidence and Australian policy reviews show that neighbourhood facilities and safe public spaces are associated with higher activity in children. Without basic equipment in parks and shared spaces, opportunities for spontaneous football, basketball, or free play decline. This is especially for those families who cannot afford organised club sport and therefore rely on unstructured play. Issue 2 highlights schools as a missed opportunity. Children spend a large portion of their week at school, yet time for physical activity in many schools is limited and inconsistent across jurisdictions. According to Nathan et al. 2018 and Buru et al. 2020, reviews of school-based physical activity implementation in Australia identify variable physical education provision, competing curriculum priorities, and challenges with teacher training and program uptake. Empirical work using accelerometers in Ridley et al. 2018 and Courts et al. 2019 also show that organised sports sessions alone generally do not produce enough moderate to vigorous physical activity to meet daily guidelines. So schools must provide consistent daily movement opportunities. This suggests that relying on sport alone is insufficient, and schools are positioned to be the strongest protective factor against inactivity, but currently they fall short. Conduct a deep analysis that shows that these issues don't exist in isolation. We reflect on the broader environmental, socio-cultural, and institutional trends. According to Christian et al. 2021, uneven distribution and maintenance of public play spaces and equipment reduce access to unstructured activity, especially in those in lower socio-economic areas and some outer suburban or regional areas. Ausplay 2023 identified social cultural factors, such as a culture that emphasises organised sport can overlook the role of daily play and active transport. Parental perceptions of safety also shape decisions about whether children should use public spaces. Nathan et al. 2018 explores institutional factors such as schools and how they often prioritise academic time without mandated daily movement or consistent funding for active schoolyards. Daily, moderate to vigorous physical activity opportunities are limited. Courts et al. 2019 shows how the combination explains why high organised sport enrolment does not translate into meeting daily activity guidelines for many children. Further explore these issues, we can have a look at the current Australian policies, of which there are several aiming to improve movement levels, but their impact is mixed. Sport 2030 is the national sport strategy, focused largely on participation and pathways in organised sport. While organised sport is important, the daily strategy gives limited attention to daily school activity and community play infrastructure, leaving major systemic gaps. Department of Education New South Wales 2020 explores how at the school level, frameworks like Active Schools in New South Wales encourage daily movement, active classrooms, and play-friendly environments. These initiatives are promising, but not implemented nationally. Only Victoria and New South Wales implements these, and schools can choose whether or not to adopt them. The Australian Sports Commission also funds local sport infrastructure, but investment often targets clubs rather than free public equipment that children can use casually. In summary, policies do exist, they are fragmented, unevenly applied, and overly reliant on organised sport, and not relying enough on unstructured play, unstructured movement, and daily physical activity. Three major gaps exist that need to be addressed. Now, number one is Australia still has no national requirement for daily school physical activity. Children in some schools receive far less than the recommended 60 minutes per day. Uh, Community infrastructure is unequal and inconsistent, being number two. This outlines that some councils invest heavily in accessible play spaces. Others provide very little, and therefore widening socio-economic disparities. Now, number three is that current policies prioritise organised sport over unstructured movement, such as Sport 2030 and Ozplay 2023, AIHW 2024 outline how these gaps help explain persistent inactivity despite many sport-funded programs. Based on the evidence in the gaps identified, I propose four actual recommendations. Number one is to implement a national daily movement mandate in schools. Schools should be required to deliver at least 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity per day. This can be integrated through physical education classes, active breaks, or outdoor play. World Health Organization 2018 recommends a whole school approach to movement, therefore further supporting this recommendation. Recommendation number two is that we expand community sport infrastructure, especially free equipment. Local councils should install and maintain football and rugby goals, basketball rings, marked play spaces, open turf areas, and outdoor fitness equipment. Number three is national funding for active schoolyards and teacher training. Schools need dedicated grants to build active play areas and also train teachers in activity delivery to ensure sustained persistence from participants. I think it goes without saying as well, inclusive activity for everybody. Number four is shift government policy focus from sport participation to daily movement. Sport 2030 should be expanded to include community infrastructure and stronger school activity requirements, with an emphasis also on general unstructured daily movement. Australia faces a systemic physical activity challenge, which is driven by environmental, sociocultural, and institutional factors. Limited community equipment and insufficient school-based activity create barriers that prevent children and adolescents from achieving movement guidelines. Improving community infrastructure and embedding daily activity in schools are powerful evidence-based strategies that can reverse current trends and support a healthier future for young Australians.